So the past couple of weeks have been absolutely insane. Luka drops his 70 ball. People were going crazy because LeBron had 2 back-to-back 40 bombs. One was on his birthday, one was like a couple days after. Donovan Mitchell obviously was crazy with 71, the 6th or 7th person in NBA history to get 70 points. Absolutely insane. And that same game, DeMar DeRozan has 40-something. Joel Embiid dropped 2, he at least dropped 1. I want to say he dropped 2 50 bombs in the last 2 weeks. Who else was going crazy? I just feel like every single day, somebody is going crazy. Like every single day. So for example, 13 times this season, we've seen 50 points. There's been 13 50-point performances this season so far. Luka has 1. No, Luka has 3. Luka has 3. Curry's on the list. Garland hit 50 earlier in the season. Booker hit 50 earlier in the season in the end of November. Siakam had a 50 ball at the end of December. Joel Embiid had 250. Like I said, he just had 250 balls recently. Klay Thompson hit a 50 ball yesterday. Giannis had a 50 ball. No, I'm sorry. Klay Thompson had a 50 ball 2 days ago. Giannis had a 50 ball yesterday. AD had a 50 ball almost right before he went down to injury, beginning of December. Booker had a 50 ball once again right before he went down with injury, mid-December. And then Donovan Mitchell just scored 70 2 days ago. When I tell you this is like the craziest, it just feels like the craziest past 2 weeks in terms of scoring that I've seen in a long time. I'm working on this theory. I'm not going to jump on the theory yet. I'm not willing to really say it's an actual thing yet because I need to look at some other years. But I have this theory just based on memory that players seem to get crazy hot end of December, beginning of January. That like month and a half span right before All-Star break is always insane when it comes to basketball and scoring. I don't know. Like I said, it's just a theory. I ain't really got no hard stats to prove it wrong or right. But it just feels like during that time period, that 1.5 month right before All-Star break. Usually once the season is like a full solid month and a half in, that time frame just seems to be where players go crazy annually. And I think this year it's even more exacerbated, obviously, but I mean, the type of basketball we're seeing is just insane. I saw this on StatMuse. D. Clark says Mitchell's the 3rd shooting guard in the last 25 years to score 70 or more. I mean, that makes sense. In the last 25, I would assume the other 2 would be Kobe and Devin Booker when he had 70 a couple years ago, and Kobe's 81. I would assume those are the other 2 70-point games by a shooting guard. Still, it's absolutely insane. And it was the craziest thing about, for me at least, well, I'm going to give Donovan Mitchell his flowers. I didn't get an opportunity to do that. I didn't really make a full video talking about that game, so we're going to talk about it right here. I know y'all might be saturated by it by now. I ain't going to go into crazy detail because I feel like everybody was talking about that game. But for the craziest, for me, personally, I had that game on. I'll be honest. I'm playing 2K with the guys. We in the rec. That game is on in the background. I'm on my other monitor. I'm really not even paying it on mine. The game's about maybe the 4th quarter, and my boy goes, I think Donovan got like 50 something. And I'm like, wait, what? So we're all now paying attention to the game. Donovan's going crazy. Ends up in overtime. We see the intentionally missed free throw, the forced overtime. Like we see that live. Now we're all locked in. We just basically give up on 2K. But and so yesterday I went back and said, let me just watch. I didn't want to see just the makes. I wanted to see the misses too. I just watched all of Donovan Mitchell's field goals because I wanted to see like how 71 came to be. I watched his field goals, took notes of when he was fouled. And 2 of the biggest takeaways for me was 1, Donovan missed, I want to say his first 3 field goals he missed. Then he made 1. Like he didn't start out the first quarter good at all. He might have ended that first quarter, I think, with like 7 points and only 1 made field goal. And he made it at the end of the first quarter. But then slowly throughout that game, he just got locked in. Like after he had a couple of those misses in a row in the first, by the 3rd quarter, by the second half of that game, he wasn't missing 2 shots back to back. He maybe might miss one, but then he made the next 3 or 4. He was just locked in at a level that I'll say me personally, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody locked in like that offensively. Me live, well, it wasn't really live because I didn't see it live. It's still one of the best games I've gone back, I guess I'll say, and watched. That's been happening in my lifetime. Somebody you knew before just said it on TikTok, and I completely agree. The other piece to me that was so impressive, Luka's to an extent as well, but especially Donovan's other piece that was so impressive about his 71 was that at one point the Bulls were up 25 points. I remember I looked at it was 50-35 sometime in either the late second quarter or early third quarter. I can't remember which one it was, but it was right around that time. They're down 25 points. And they ended up still losing that game. Still absolutely insane considering DeMar. It wasn't like they were, I'm not going to say playing bad, but DeMar still had 40 something. They were up 25. Donovan says, I'm putting this team on my back and we're winning this game. Just such an impressive run. It's like absolutely crazy to me how good of a game that was. But the piece I wanted to talk about when it comes to, somebody also asked Devin Booker or Donovan Mitchell right now. I got to look and see. I may be calling myself a hypocrite, but I want to say when I did my list at the end of last season, talking about last season, I want to say I had Devin Booker over Donovan Mitchell. I could be capping. I could be misremembering, but I would take Devin Booker over Donovan Mitchell right now, to be honest with you. The one last thing I wanted to say before we get off of and move on from how talented is the NBA right now, and I made this into a TikTok, but I'm gonna say it again because I really want to stress it because I don't want people to get lost, and I don't want comparison to be the thief of joy, right? Because it's debates and I don't want, how can I phrase this nicely? Don't let the thought or the idea of comparing eras ruin your experience when watching what these guys are doing right now. And I feel like the people who are actually watching it aren't letting it ruin it. But when I go to comment sections of videos or I'll see a tweet praising a player, you'll be in the comment section or you'll be in a thread and you'll see people complain about the pace of the game nowadays, or they'll say players aren't playing defense like they used to back in the day, or they'll just say, everybody's a free throw merchant and everybody's chucking threes, this, that, and the third. A whole lot of reasons somebody will come up with to try to invalidate what today's players are doing compared to players of the yesteryear. And I don't want people to get caught up with not really enjoying the moment and not really enjoying the basketball that we're seeing right now and comparing it to whatever era. The 90s, the 2000s, the 80s, the 70s, 60s. You know what I mean? Don't miss what this special basketball is we're seeing right now. And the reason I say I don't think the people who are actually watching it are missing are not enjoying it and letting the comparison take away their joy from it. Because if you catch some of these games, you don't even really got to catch the games. If you just really take the time to watch like the 10-minute highlight breakdown on NBA.com and see just all the field goals that some of these guys are doing and the buckets they're scoring and how they're scoring them, you'll see that people are playing defense on them. But you'll also just see that they just getting on some really good looks because of the skill, and they're really just playing really good basketball that you're going to want to be paying attention to.